All right. Hey, Justin, I think let's just change pace a little bit.
Change it up.
Yeah, we're Bourbon Banter Evans, but let's change the pace a little bit. You want to do something a little bit more fun?
You mean not nerdy and serious like normal?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, let's have a little fun. So we're not going to say...
No, we're not going to say welcome back to another edition of Bourbon Banter Evans.
All right, then let's not say that. Then let's have a little fun. This is the Bourbon Gangster video. We coined this term a couple years ago, and it started in Kentucky, downtown Louisville. And we're going to call out a couple of our friends and enjoy some pours. But let's talk about these pours. These are not what they look like. If you followed any of our stuff before, thank you for that. Cheers, always from me and what's in your glass.
Yes.
Nothing is in mine, so we're going to put this in there first. This is my infinity of single barrel store picks. Anything bourbon.
And it's got some good stuff in it, too.
It's got some great store picks in there.
Yes.
We just added a couple to it not too long ago.
And one of my favorites.
Let's pour this up and talk about the Bourbon Gangster video.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. It's funny that I haven't heard this. You know, we've never heard this until we were like, okay, we're going to do Bourbon Gangster. That's what this. What happened was this is Bourbon Gangster.
Essentially, now we're just going to tell a story.
Yep.
We're going to tell some stories and call our friends out for being what we call the Bourbon Gangsters.
And let us know what you think. Hit that like button, get a thumbs up, and subscribe, guys.
All right, so moving on to my infinity bottle. Cheers, Charles.
Cheers.
We're going to have a little fun today. Yeah. On camera with a little bit of bourbon.
Little uncut, unfiltered. Oh man, the nose is just all over the place.
Whenever you get a chance to stop by, make sure you request to try at least one of these infinities. This is also an infinity bottle. As you guys may have known in the past, this is my high-end infinity bottle. So we'll discuss a little about these infinities, and then we're going to move on to the Bourbon Gangster part while we consume a little bit of beverages.
That's probably got a little Bourbon Gangster in it.
That probably does have a little Bourbon Gangster in it. So this is the high-end infinity bottle, which has a base of a very rare, Eagle Rare store pick. And then it's got a lot of Rip 10. It's got some Blade and Bow 22, some George T. Stagg, some LaRue. Yeah. So it's a very high-end mix of all different bourbons that we've been tracking throughout several years now. And at this point, we don't even really know what's left in there because we keep adding to it as it grows. So that one is that.
Yeah, and
this one is all store picks.
And it's been great. A lot of people have helped get this to where it is, so we really appreciate that.
We did an obnoxious old-fashioned with that with Alan, and let's talk about Alan. He's the most recent Bourbon Gangster.
He is.
So how about a definition to Bourbon Gangster? We were going to talk about this in a different video of the etiquette or what you do when you're bourbon hunting, as the term that we don't think you're sitting in the woods waiting for a bottle of bourbon to walk by to shoot it.
Right.
That being said, the Bourbon Gangster, Alan, should we call out your last name Ferris? Should we do that? Should we do that to him?
Well, maybe we already did.
So our definition of Bourbon Gangster is a little bit of bourbon etiquette. If you say to your friends, hey, I'm going up to this location, I'm going shopping, hunting, and they're like, okay, if you find anything, bring me back one of these.
Yeah.
And so the gangster move would be to find it,
and
tell them that you found it, and tell them that you can't have it because I decided to keep it for myself.
I decided, you know what? I really wanted that. And I hate to say it, I know I've done it.
Yeah, definitely. So just by default, the video was going to be, bourbon etiquette, but we decided, no, let's do the Bourbon Gangster and call out a couple of our friends and say the stories of what they did. And then when they showed up to Whiskey Wednesday that next week wearing a hat and a cigar to pose as an actual gangster because of the bourbon that he did not bring back and actually did it. So the story's great. So we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But first, let me admit that this bottle right here is a Wathen's Piggly Wiggly barrel pick. And let me call myself out. If I'm going to call them out, I got to call myself out. I told my buddy Daniel, we'll not use his last name because I did it to him, so we know who I am. We'll leave that right there. So I had a friend that was going to mule us some bottles back from Wisconsin on a road trip. And I said, okay, get me two. I'm going to get one for Daniel and one for me. And he said, no problem, I'll bring it back. I got two back. Well, we drank the first one and it was so good. Daniel was like, where's my bottle? I said, I'm sorry, I changed my mind. I have to keep the bottle. It's so good. I'm going to drink two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he did get a pour of it. But I definitely Bourbon Gangstered him on that. So that's what our definition of Bourbon Gangster is when you are trying to help, but at the same time you realize it's too good and I'm going to do it.
But did make amends later on.
So. Yes, made amends later on. So I was at that moment a small level of Bourbon Gangster. Yeah. Now, Alan is reigning champion of Bourbon Gangster. And I would like to tell you what he did. And without getting into too much information, there was a site that had some of their store picks available. and they shipped, and that's up to them to do that. Not all states do, but some states are able to do that.
Yes, they are.
So obviously, Bourbon Banter, Evans, so we're here in Evans. We got on there, and we're like, oh, there's only a couple left available. We'll take the last ones. Well, Alan swooped in and saw the comments of what was going on and decided to buy all of them out from underneath us and thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
And did not say a thing to them at all.
No, sends in a text message that goes, oh man, I was really hoping you were going to get those. I guess I got them instead. And I was like, well, that's just the absolute most Bourbon Gangster move of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Of seeing it online and being like, oh, there's we asked how many are left. Oh, there's 2 left, and he buys them out from underneath us.
Just boom.
Because Daniel was driving and couldn't get to the point on the comments of like, yes, I will buy those and put them in his cart, And so that guy then showed up, and by that guy, I'm talking about Alan Ferris, then shows up the following Wednesday at Whiskey Wednesday with cigar in mouth and top hat on. Well, not top hat, like a, what are those, Stetson? No, it's not a Stetson. Fedora. With a fedora hat on, walking in with like whatever his dress code was, acting like a bourbon gangster, and thought it was hilarious.
And guess what? He's the reigning champ right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen somebody swoop in and buy something out from underneath somebody so fast.
But made amends too. But that was the whole point. He wanted to be the reigning bourbon gangster.
Yes, and I agree. I think this next story in Louisville does not top what Alan did. But we do often talk about this, and now Keenan Templeton is getting called out for starting the bourbon gangster trend, and it was pretty comical. But let's pause for a second and talk about this single barrel pick.
Oh yeah.
Single barrels picks.
Yeah,
all plural, lots
the
of them.
good old Infinity. I'll tell you what.
This is actually really good.
It's good. It's so smooth.
Who'd have thought that taking this many different single barrel picks and blending them into like a half ounce to an ounce of each over a couple years turns out to be...
Well, and we've talked about Infinity bottles before. It's crazy to me. There's no burn on this. There's no ethanol really. It's just good.
And the proof range is anywhere from, I would say, probably 86 to 107.
Yeah. But it doesn't drink. It drinks.
I don't think I've got any Weller Full Proof in there yet, but I will, which then it'll be 114. I do know I did the hydrometer to this one, and it was right at 99 to 100.
That's great.
And so after all the stuff I put in there, I was like, that's pretty good. And it did, there's a video of me doing this after a couple pours on a Whiskey Wednesday. I was not happy with the proof. I wanted to boost it up a little bit, and I boosted it up with a little bit too much Rip 10 after we had drank it down. So at one point in the middle part of that was nothing but Rip 10.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to have 107 to boost it back up. But the George T. Staggs and the LaRue's help on that as far as the proof. Some of the best E.H. Taylor barrel proofs have been into this one. But as far as a conglomerate of...
I mean, this is just a bunch of different whiskeys.
Yeah.
Store picks.
None of them rye. I decided not to do the rye whiskey, so just bourbon.
That's good.
But it is. It turned out really good.
Yeah, I'm impressed. It's one of the better Infinity bottles I've ever tasted, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm like, who would have thought that? I mean, we're talking about anything from Old Forester barrel proofs to, that would probably be the highest proof then.
Yeah.
Never mind. So I retract that from prior. It would not go up to 107 or 114. It would go up to 123 to 126 is the highest one I had.
And we got some double oak in here.
Yeah. There's
Twin Oak.
Twin Oak Jefferson pick in there.
Yep.
Several different Buffalo Trace picks. I'm probably like 7 or 8 different ones.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And it's mingled well. I mean, Elijah Craig is in there. I mean, just keep on going. Name a brand that you've seen a store pick of, and in our traveling in the area is probably in there.
Yeah. And what's fun is this is the second time I've had it. I had the first sip of it a long time ago. It does change as it goes.
Oh, 100% change.
But it doesn't get bad. It has not gotten bad at all. It's great.
No. And shout out to my wooden cup that I got at Bourbon Festival last year. Look, it's a charred wooden cup.
I know.
For a rocks glass. That's pretty cool. I'm excited about it.
Yep. So, I don't know. Time for the original.
Let's call him out. Keenan Templeton, you have been called out as the OG bourbon gangster for your moves that you did in Louisville, Kentucky at Merrill's Whiskey Kitchen. While we're sitting there, Keenan was specifically told by a friend, Chris, last name Campbell, who's also a bourbon fan, has a barbecue, like amazing barbecue. He's on Instagram. He's got a lot of followers on there. Yeah, Campbell's Barbecue is fantastic. He does all kind of food things here. It's great stuff. So was specifically told to get a Russell's Reserve pick from Merrill's Whiskey Kitchen. And Keenan said, no problem, I'll oblige, and I'll bring it back. We specifically flew and had X amount of bottles we could bring back in a suitcase because of weight.
Right.
Okay, no problem. We're up there sitting at Merrill's Whiskey Kitchen and have a great time. Everything's good. And then he's like, oh, let's get the Russell's Reserve pick. okay, let's do it. Keenan orders it. He takes a couple sips of it. He's like, Justin, oh my gosh. He's like, you got to try this. And he goes ahead and orders me one. He's like, trust me, you're going to want to try this. And I tried it. I was like, this might be the best Russell Reserve pick I've ever had in my life. He goes, I got to be honest. I don't care that he wants it. Chris isn't getting it. I'm flying it back and I'm keeping it for myself.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, you only did one bottle and you still aren't going to tell him that you just straight gangstered him underneath the table and then said they didn't have any.
And guess what? That's where it came from.
That's where the original Bourbon Gangster was like, you just straight went in there and just said, whoop, nope, not existent.
And I wasn't able to make this trip, but when I heard about that, I was like, oh gosh. And that's when Justin and I, we're doing a video on this eventually.
Yes, it gets brought up all the time with the different things. And so here's the other part of the Bourbon Gangster that we were talking about as far as like etiquette. So let's just say you pull into a store and there's 4 people in the vehicle, as we often do when we're traveling and doing things like that. So all the doors open at the same time, but only one person can go into the store door. Who gets the bottle if all 4 sets of eyes see the bottle on the shelf? Do you race to it? Do you sprint and it's whoever's the fastest? Do you call it out, say that's mine? Or do you just do what a couple people in the Bourbon Gangster world do? You put it in gear, open the door, and just go first. And don't even worry about if everybody else is ready. And that's the gangster move.
That is the gangster move.
Yeah, you just straight, I don't care, just boom, straight. I mean, that's like, when I'm thinking Bourbon Gangster, I'm thinking like the Prohibition era gangsters, like Purple Gang and things like that, like just doing ruthless things, you know. So don't take this out of context. In the obviously we're big Prohibition fans and stuff like that, and history learned so much from it. But that, what do you guys think? You know, put it in the comments. Do you pull up to a store if you got multiple buddies with you, and it's whoever sets foot in the store first, whoever sees it first, or if there's 2 bottles and there's 4 of you and all 4 people want it? Who gets the bottles? And
let us know if you've ever been the Bourbon Gangster or if you've ever been Bourbon Gangstered before. And put that in the comments. Love to hear some stories about that.
Definitely. So I say, I'm done. So I beat you to the punch.
Yes, you did.
I'm going to move on to the high-end Infinity, and we'll talk a little bit about this. So this is a special bottle. I chose the Taylor bottle, not for the label. I chose it for the glass itself. I probably need to take the label off because it is not small batch. It is 100, and I did take that part off. So I need to put on there like Infinity or like Sharpie on there just so everybody knows that that's what that is when they stop by to try it. I only bring this one out every once in a while. The last time it was brought out was for the Most Obnoxious Old Fashioned video. And the reason I am pouring on top of the little bit of that's left in there is because it is an Infinity.
Right.
It's only going to add to it. It's not going to affect
exactly.
it. So no need to rinse the glass. And I don't pour much of this one because this one is loaded up with some good stuff. I think the last time I added things to it in the world of bourbons was I added some Lot B, some Eagle Rare 17, I had a little bit of LaRue that was left over from a specific year of 2020, which was the best LaRue I've ever had, in my opinion. If you haven't had the 2020 LaRue, I highly recommend you go for that specific year. It's probably, it's hands down. Before that, I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I think I've talked about that before.
Yeah, I wonder, is there another 17 in here?
There's 2 different Eagle Rare 17s.
How about, is there a Heaven Hill?
Yes,
17?
There's Heaven Hill 17 in there. So there's Heaven Hill 17 in there.
I didn't know. I couldn't.
There's
remember.
Elijah Craig 21.
Yeah. There's some good stuff.
Yeah. The Warehouse C Taylor was in there at one point.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. No, this one I've only had once before. So this will be my second time, probably within the last year and a half or so.
Yeah. Probably. It doesn't. I let it marinate for a long time until I can add a little bit more to it because it's harder to acquire some of those bottles. It's hard to gangster some of those bottles to be able to put in there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we can a little bit later on in the year.
Hey, I got a question, Charles.
Okay.
If somebody says, hey, Charles, if you're going to Iowa and you see this bottle, would you bring it back for me? And let's just say that was a Winkle bottle and they wanted it at MSRP. Are you going to keep that for yourself and never say anything? Or are you going to actually bring it back? You're like, here you go, friend.
You know what?
That's the Bourbon Gangster question.
Honestly, to be honest with you, it depends on which one. If it's a Lot B or above, I'm probably keeping it for myself.
I don't see how anybody, and we get asked that a lot, like, hey, if you're in this market, if you see anything, bring it back. We do that all the time.
We do.
But at the same time, we're also looking
and if
it's
it's
shopping as well.
Yeah, and if it's something that it's hard for us to come by in our market, and we have the opportunity for it, you're darn right. I'm probably going to say, hey, look, I'm sorry, but guess what? It's mine. I know you really wanted it. It's mine, but hey, You come over, we'll have a pour.
Have a pour of it,
Yeah.
share a pour. Which, you know, most of these items have been all shared and
Oh, yeah,
tried
of
by
course.
now, with the exception of that Merrill's Whiskey Kitchen pick of Russell's Reserve from
Ooh.
Keenan Templeton, who I don't think has opened it yet.
We might need to, we might have a
The
conversation
OG
with him.
Bourbon Gangster
Might have to have a
from
conversation.
years ago.
Hit that, give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. Appreciate it.
I can't stop nosing this. All right, let's try it. Here we go. Cheers.
Oh, God.
What's in your glass? Oh my God.
Holy cow.
If there is one bottle to
Holy
try, if you get asked which bottle you'd like to try, if you were to come over and say you wanted to be in a video or something like that,
Yeah.
this is the one that you want to try.
That is, it's got so much flavor, and then the finish is just smooth as silk. I mean,
Never in a million years would I've ever thought any of that would have worked out, especially not keeping up
I
with
know,
it.
and you know, it's way back when I was like, infinity bottles, how, what? But I like them.
I think I even talked about it when we did
We
Infinity
did.
Bottles that I got talked into doing one
Yeah.
because I was not necessarily an Infinity Bottle fan.
We weren't, neither one of us were.
But ever since we started this one, it's kind of
It's been good.
like the video, not serious and nerdy, fun,
Yeah.
kind of like uplift, like, hey, this is what's going on in
This-
our ring of friends, you know?
This is something that we wanted to do. It's something that we've had on the docket for quite a while, and we were just like, you know what, today's the day to do it. Let's just have a good time.
And we chose the Infinity bottles because, again, a lot of these bottles were sought after and found doing that exact same thing.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, if you see a store pick a Buffalo Trace, grab me one.
Yeah.
You end up only getting one and you keep it for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of gangster moves that you can go out there too. I mean, people get in the lotteries and everything else like that. You're like, oh, sorry, bud. You know, your best friend's right behind you, and they say, oh, I'm really looking after that bottle. You're like, well, I am too. Guess what?
That's
It's
mine now.
Yeah.
But again, I really, you know, let's ask that question again for the second part of this. What do you guys do in the event that you find something, but your friend asked you specifically to bring it back?
Yeah.
And what do you do when you all pull up at the same time? Who sees the bottle first?
Yeah.
Is that who gets the bottle, or is it, do you draw straws, flip a coin? Like,
Right.
how do you decide? There's 4 of us and only 1 or 2 of these bottles. Who gets it when everybody wants it?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Hopefully this will generate some good comments. Give us some thumbs up
Some
and
fun
everything.
stuff
Yeah.
for this video. This is our first one that wasn't too serious, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we did very well at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. That, you know, 4 of us were there, 4 or 5 of us were there, and we, for the most part, all got a bottle. We didn't have to worry about
Right.
who's going to get it, who's going to stand in line, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was very fortunate of us, and we'll be going back this year. So hopefully
will.
that will, you know, be the same as far as if there's multiple bottles available to the 5 or 6 or people that are waiting. So, but yeah, let us know in the comments for sure. Like Charles said, you know, did you do this to somebody?
Yeah.
Is it something you do on the regular, and or, you know, how would you treat it if it was just one and you had 3 people there surrounding it?
Yeah, or tell us a story if it's ever happened to you.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, try an Infinity bottle. It's fun. You know, I'm sure some gangster single barrel picks were definitely in this one, and this right here is just lights out.
Yeah, I mean, there's no comparison, to be honest with you. It's so good.
And it tastes great out of my cup. So that's all I got for the Bourbon Gangster video. You got anything you want to
No.
rat anybody out on?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, I've done it before, so it's been done to me before too. But it all ends up being good in the end. So
Yeah. Good fun with good friends create good bourbon gangsters. And cheers to Alan, Keenan, Chris, and Daniel for being part of these stories. So
definitely
cheers
appreciate
to you guys, and what's in your glass.
appreciate you letting us talk about it too.